Moving on to Knox's emergence, and we're blessed by this page, or these designs, and we can date them, and this is the really fascinating thing about this, because you start to see Knox emerge as a great designer, I think, around this time. And we have all three of these pieces on the stand. All three of these pieces, I'll say by chance, in fact, are on the stand, and were registered with the Patent Office, or the Registered Mark Office, and now in the National Archive, on the 24th of January 1901. So one point to make, and it's true of much of the pieces on the stand, they are Victorian. He designed them in the Victorian period, which is mind-boggling, at least to me, when you think how modern and crisp they are. But because we can date these, and these are photos that attach to the submission, and obviously they're of made pieces, not drawings. So Knox probably designed these at least 6 months earlier. So he designed these in around 1900. And I think you can see his emergence. We have that incredible cup on the left, which is a little bit of a copy of Ashby. Certainly doffs its hat to Ashby, but is certainly fantastic. The tankard is actually rather traditional in shape still. He hadn't played with the 3D aspects of design yet, but it's covered in wonderful entrelac and Celtic knots. And on the right, you have this completely mad, radical tankard, which, again, is on the stand, and a wonderful, huge thing. You've got the shape and body of it is really still quite traditional, but it's lifted, massively lifted by the stones, the enamel, and then the handle. So that's kind of 1900, and then that's call it his purple patch. And so you start to see 1900, you have the covered cup. Around the same period, maybe a little later, this very angular biscuit box, inlaid blister pearls in the lid, very subtle wing-like handles to the lid. And again, using the Celtic knot really to augment the whole design, but keeping it very ornamented. You have the Magnus, which perhaps doffs its hat to Charles Rennie Mackintosh a little, maybe a lot, but again, an absolutely stunning piece. You have in pewter now, not I think in silver, this incredible enameling work and design of this large clock, again on the stand. And then you have these two absolutely magnificent pieces. This cigarette box, which is a blend of every design you could think of, I would say. The Japanese influences there, the Art Nouveau influences there, but go find anything else like it in the last century, I would say. The way you have the sea of enamel, it's raised on feet, it's one cigarette depth, and really a remarkable thing. And then perhaps most famously, at least we've used it with a lot of our marketing, you have this rose bowl, which embraces very, very Celtic in many ways, clearly, but at the same time is kind of very modern in the way that the bowl in particular is very straightforward. And so that's really the avant-garde Knox. But finally, I wanted to come to, as we talk about his silver, the Knox the Modernist. And this comes back to that original quote. And what you can see is there is work by Knox, and this is perhaps what we're most trying to bring that's fresh to the party with the exhibition, as well as just display his wonderful work, is Knox the Modernist, that he is ahead of his time. Perhaps his Art Nouveau work is of his time. This is ahead of his time. And you see these very unornamented, no Celtic knots, nothing, very much, I think, inspired by the stones of the island. You see this incredible piece, again, probably with influence by Mackintosh. You see a piece which I think in the trade is known as the radio clock, because it looks like a 1930s Art Deco radio, but it's 1902. Absolutely amazing piece. You have these vases, which these particular pair are early and dated 1902. They may have been designed in the Victorian period. Again, they look maybe Danish 1930s. And you have this inkstand, and I'll dwell on this. It's easy to be fooled by this inkstand because your eye goes to the slightly traditionally coloured, perhaps enamel centre. But if you focus on the slits, there's little nicks of silver being left in on each slit quite deliberately. Goodness knows why and what that means, but it's incredibly modern. I mean, people would do that today and get talked about as silversmiths as to why they'd left a little bit of a hook on the silver. Really remarkable, and maybe that's the influence of those Ogham stones I showed you, I don't know.